On the subject of Death and the Dazzlings, the fanfiction, this was super, 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 super good. Uh, if I could give like this was amazing. Like better than 5 out of 5. This would be top three. Best like one shots. So what happens is this takes place right after the Dazzlings fail to take over after the Battle of the Bands. When they get wrecked, they leave, and what happens is they're driving away, and Sonata and Arya are fighting, and like they're driving, like one of like Arya's driving, and Sonata's anyways, like Adagio's in the back because normally Adagio would drive, but they're like Arya's like you've been leading us and we've been getting screwed and losing. Like maybe one of us should be the leader or whatever. So Adagio is just like whatever, okay. And then freaking Arya and Sonata get into a fight in the front seat, and Sonata tackles Arya out of the car, and Adagio gets into a wreck, obviously, and this fic starts with her waking up, and she's remembering all that stuff, and she goes to the there's a cliff, and she goes to the edge of the cliff, and Sonata is alive, so she climbs down, Adagio climbs down, and what happens is Sonata's oh, death is well, she like Adagio's what the crap happened, where she's not what the crap happened, she's not mad or anything, she's very even tempered in this fic, and she's what happened, where's Arya, and Sonata's oh, she's dead, and Adagio's what, how do you know, and she's oh, I landed on her, and she's over there, and her Arya's dead body is over there, and it's just what, and Sonata's yeah, death 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 is right over there, and Adagio's what, and Sonata's yeah, Mr. Death is right there, and he there's this thing called a death debt, and since they're immortals or whatever, it's you can bring them back, you could bring an immortal back if you decide to bring them back within a certain amount of time, and Adagio is death reanimates Arya's body, and he's telling Adagio this stuff, and then Adagio's oh, we'll just bring Arya back, and Sonata's I don't want to bring her back, and Adagio's just what, and it's and Sonata's like Arya's a super big jerk to me, and she hates me, and if it was me, she wouldn't bring me back and stuff, and Death is actually she saved you, and Death is when you guys fell off the when you guys fell off the mountain, she turned, and she sacrificed herself so that you wouldn't die and that she would die, and Sonata's what, and then Adagio's how do we know you're telling the truth, and I don't lie, I never lie, and then Adagio's okay, well, how do this is stupid, and then Sonata's well, can you tell me what she's saying? And Death is no, a ghost can't talk to the living. And then Death is but if you can get Adagio to kill you, then you could talk to you could talk to Arya yourself. And it's just oh my god, Death is gonna get them to kill each other or kill themselves, and they're all gonna be dead. And then Adagio's just yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And then Sonata's if you don't do that, I'm gonna jump off the cliff, and then I'm just gonna die anyways. And then Adagio's just oh my god. So Adagio ends up, and Death is if you kill Sonata, then you'll have a death debt on Sonata, and then you could bring back Sonata within 20 minutes. And then it's so then it's okay, so then if Adagio brings back Sonata, then Sonata can bring back Arya, and then they'll all be alive. And Adagio's fine. So she stabs she stabs Sonata in the heart, and Sonata dies. And then Adagio's and okay, what did you not tell me? And he's what do you mean? I didn't not tell you anything. He's unless I was lying about the about what Arya said. And Adagio's oh crap. And then Death is or I could not be lying at all. And then it's well, and then she's 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 like, well, what even is the point of all of this? And then like Death is like, well, he's like, who are you going to bring back? And she's like, well, obviously I'm going to bring back Sonata so Sonata could bring back Arya. And he's like, Death is like, actually, there's another caveat to this. And she's like, what? And he's like, so the way that the death debt works is everyone who was killed by the person that you killed can be brought back. And Adagio's like, so you're saying I could bring back Arya? And it's like, ooh, cause he's like, yep. And she's like, so I could bring back Sonata or I could bring back Arya. And he's like, yes. And he's like, but if you bring back Arya, then no one can bring back Sonata. And she's like, well, then I'd obviously bring back Sonata. And Death is like, yes, but what if you bring back Sonata and Sonata doesn't bring back Arya because Arya didn't really feel the way I said she felt, and she actually does hate Sonata. And Adagio's like, oh, and then it's like, it like like Adagio's like, I like Arya more. Like she's like, I want Arya to come back more, but if I bring back Arya, then Sonata definitely won't come back. But if I bring back Sonata, then Arya might come back. But Arya won't come back if Arya doesn't feel the way that Death said she felt. And then I'd bring back Sonata and Arya wouldn't come back. So like it's just like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. And like Adagio's just like, dude, this sucks, cuz she's like, what do I do? But I'm so glad because like this is just like a really good fic because like what happens is Adagio is like, what about like what happens, like you said, if someone, like she's like, since I killed Sonata and Sonata killed Arya, Sonata can bring back Arya if if Sonata can bring back Arya if I bring back Sonata. And he's like, yes. And she's like, okay, so if if that is true, then death doesn't break the whatchamacallit, the death debt. And he's like, no. He's like, time is the only thing that can break the death debt. And freaking Adagio is so smart. She's obviously the best the best siren. Like she's always been the best. Like I love her the most. Um she's like, okay. She's like, then I choose Arya. And I was just like, wow, she just bluntly chose Arya. Like, what is she gonna do? And Arya gets reanimated or whatever. And then Arya is like super pissed off. She's like, you idiot. She's like, what is wrong with you? She's like, you just killed. And Adagio's like, shut up, Arya. And I was just like, oh dang. And she's like, and before death can tell you not to, she's like, hurry up and kill me. And I was just like, oh, because like, okay, so if Arya kills Adagio, then uh Adagio killed uh uh Adagio killed Sonata, and Sonata killed Arya, and Arya kills Adagio, so Adagio killed Sonata. So it's like just a triangle. So what happens is, if Arya kills Adagio, then what happens is Arya now has the right to bring back Sonata because Adagio killed Sonata. And since Sonata already talked to Arya, that means Sonata can bring back Adagio because Arya killed Adagio. So they, like, what happens is like there's a time, like a little time skip, not like a big long time or whatever, but they're all alive. Adagio, Sonata, and Arya are alive, and like Death is like, congratulations. He's like, you're a lot more clever than I gave you credit for, and Adagio is like, yeah, thanks. And he's like, he was like, I was really hoping to get all three of you. He's like, but now I'm just hoping for our next time when we meet next. And Adagio's like, yeah, I was really hoping that we'd never meet with each other again. And like Death is like, that's a shame. And like he leaves or whatever. And Adagio, Arya, and Sonata are just like, like they're just talking about like they're like, well, the cops are gonna come or whatever, and they're like, what are we gonna do? And like Adagio's like, I just really want to be friends again, and like Arya's like, yeah, she's like, definitely, and she's like, but we're still gonna be evil, right? And Adagio's like, oh, of course, and like they're like, well, we need like. And like Arya's like, oh, then I'm in. She's like, but I'm gonna have like I have a lot to apologize for. And Sonata's like, me too. And Adagio's like, I don't think we have to go through all of that. She's like, and like they're gonna be friends, and it's just like such a wholesome, good ending, and like it was such a cool solving to the puzzle. It was just so freaking good. I am so freaking happy with this. It made me smile. I'm smiling now. Yeah, this was perfect. Super, super, super good. Like I am, I am so happy at how this turned out. It was so cool. First Dazzlings fanfic, and it was super good. I'm really glad.